Welcome to our tutorial about the Measure command. It works quite similarly to the Divide tool with one key difference. It divides an object into a number of intervals whose length you specify. I've just created a line here. Now let's activate the Measure command. It's on the Draw panel of the Home tab. Left-click to activate it. First, we select the object to measure, my line. Now if I select my line from this end, AutoCAD will begin measuring the distances for the intervals from this end. Now instead of specifying the number of segments, like we did with the Divide tool, we're going to specify the length of the segment. Let's say 4 units, and press Enter. AutoCAD has measured out the 4-unit segments. There happen to be 4 of them. The division points are inserted accordingly with just a little bit left at the end. Let me activate the Circle command and place a circle at the end point of the line. Now let's activate the Copy command. Let's copy the circle to each division point. Select the object to copy. Select the base point, my end point of the line. Let's snap to each of the points on my line. Each left click places a copy. And let's right-click and Enter to close the tool. Now let's see how the Measure tool works with polylines. Activate the Polyline command. Right-click and Enter to close the polyline. Measure tool. Let's select the polyline from the right side. Now let's enter 5 units as the length of our segment. Press Enter to execute. AutoCAD has measured out the intervals from my selection point. Okay, let's create a circle now. Activate the Circle command. Let's learn how to apply the Measure tool to it. I'm going to make the radius 8 units. Let's activate the Measure command. First step, select the circle. Now we input the length of the segment, let's say 5 units. Press Enter. And here are the results. It's obvious that AutoCAD began measuring out the points from this quadrant here where I made my selection. We can use the Dimension tool to verify this. If I simply try to use the arc length dimension, I'm not able to make a selection. Let's press Escape. And let's develop a workaround. I'm going to activate the Start Center Length Arc subtool. Now let's snap to this quadrant, the center, and this point. And here's my arc. Now I'm able to use the Arc Length Dimension tool. And I'll place the dimension right here. As you see, the length of the first segment is indeed 5 units. All right, let's activate the Rectangle command. Place my first corner and my second corner down about here. Let's activate the Measure command. And let's select the rectangle. Now specify the length of the segments, let's say 8 units. Enter. And as you see, the measurement started from this corner where I made my selection. But let's verify it. I'll place the dimension right about here. And the distance is indeed 8 units. Okay, let's create one more rectangle about the same size. First corner, second corner. Activate the Measure command. Now I'm going to select the rectangle from this side. Now we input the length of the interval, let's say 8 units, Enter. And as you see, our first segment begins right here. Another minor detail. Oh, as you can see, we're having a regen issue. Let's go to View, Regen, and let's create another rectangle now. Start corner over here, and end corner up here. Let's see how this impacts the Measure tool. We'll select the rectangle, number of segments 8, Enter. Since this was my first corner, here is my first segment. Let's verify it with a dimension. Let's place a linear dimension. Select my first point and the second point. Place it about here. And as you can see, the dimension is 8 units. Let's try the Polyline tool now. And let's right-click and select Close. Activate the Measure command. Let's select our object. As you remember, I began my polyline at this corner. Let's say 12 units. Press Enter, and here's my first segment. Let's verify with a dimension. We'll use an align dimension. Select our first and second point, place the dimension about here, and when I zoom in, I can see that I indeed have 12 units. And this concludes our tutorial about the measure command.